We begin with the lawyers because an Accra High Court has ruled that the Office of the Attorney General can represent the Ghana Police Service in a case seeking to halt a street protest. The Fix the Country campaigners had urged the court to dismiss a case seeking to restrain them from embarking on a street protest. The campaigners say only a police officer can make a request under the Public Order Act to restrain protesters from hitting the street. The court, however, disagreed with this view, ruling that the Attorney General has every right to handle such a matter. Court correspondent Joseph Akable joins us with more. Joe, run us through the highlights of the court's decision.
And so the point that the judge made was to indicate that under Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor for government, and the AG, as being the principal legal advisor, is empowered under law to initiate all criminal and civil proceedings on behalf of the Republic. He also is mandated to also defend the state in all civil and criminal matters initiated. And so the point that he made was that look closely at the law and what it provides for. Even the police officer that is referred to under the Public Order Act cannot make such an application without the express permission of the Attorney General. And so she ruled that he is properly the person to defend such a matter. And so the objections were dismissed by the judge.
Joe, the court, we understand, then dealt with the main issue of whether or not the protest can proceed. What transpired?
And so first, the AG was asked to make arguments in support of the motion that the protest should be injuncted. And Mr. Kofedami explains that
Joseph, before you go ahead, Joseph, pardon me, Joseph, but we're getting a bad connection at this end. Can you reposition yourself? Unfortunately, we seem to have lost my colleague, Joseph Akable. We will get back to him so that we can find out exactly what transpired in court today and then find out what the lawyers for the protesters have said. Because so far we have heard that the Attorney General has been given a right to represent the Ghana Police Service in that case that the Fix the Country protesters have brought against the service. Now, of course, we will be dealing with that matter. Remember, it's been making rounds on social media, the hashtag Fix the Country hashtag, which led to the attempted demonstration, which was quelled by government. Let's now speak to Joseph and get those details now. Joseph, can you take the answer to that question again for me? What's transpired in the substantive case on whether or not the protest can go on?
I'll speak to you now. The Attorney General, just a short while ago, completed his submissions as to why the street protest cannot take place. And his argument is that there is currently a restriction enforced. This restriction is to protect students against the spread of COVID-19. And so political gatherings that the said protest is a political gathering, meaning that in a notice that was issued to the police, the protesters indicate that they are demonstrating against the failure of successive governments to fulfill campaign promises. And so he says that clearly is a political activity. As I speak to you, the protesters their lawyers are taking their turn to respond to the argument by the agent. They are making the point that under the Constitution, they have the right to protest, and COVID-19 cannot be used as an excuse to bar them from protesting. But in between the court session, Daniel, there has been an interesting development. While we're in court monitoring proceedings, a section of the protesters actually hit the street in front of the law court complex. They were outside the proceeding there, holding placards with the inscription, Fix the Country, and screaming and shouting that the nation needs to be fixed and they cannot continue to use the first legal process to frustrate them from demanding that the nation should be fixed. They stationed here for about 15 to 20 minutes, and afterwards they moved quickly from this particular location.
Did that affect the proceedings going on in court in any way?
Not at all, Daniel. The proceedings are still ongoing as I speak to you now, and the protesters, those who hit the street in front of the law court complex, have currently moved away from them.
How did they move away? Did they just decide to do so, or the police had to intervene?
There were no police officers here at the time that incident happened. The police officers who were stationed here were individuals who are caught warrants officers and are taking various activities. None of them actually approached the protesters, and they were hovered around for about 15 to 20 minutes, singing and shouting and indicating that they have a right to protest and that they want the country fixed. Then after a while, they moved from here.
Right, the interesting development, Joseph. Can't wait till we see those visuals in later bulletins. Thank you very much for for those updates. Now, legal luminary Tsatsu Chikata says persons leading the Fix the Country campaign cannot be said to be speaking in favor or against any political party. He insists the concerns being raised are issues affecting all Ghanaians and therefore need to be addressed. Mr. Chikata was speaking with students of the Faculty of Law of the Central University College, Ghana.
I'm not comfortable dealing with these issues all the time, just in generality, because each and every one of us has a responsibility to take on the issues that confront us as a country. That's why I applaud young people raising issues about the needs of things that have to be sorted out properly in this country. When people say fix the country, they are not making a statement in favor of one political party or the other. They are dealing with issues that all of us confront and all of us need to address. And so we each have to ask ourselves, are we ready to have these issues addressed or not? The culture of silence will only happen if each of us decides to remain silent.
Adding his voice to the fight against illegal mining, Tsatsu Chikata described as unlawful government's directive to a military task force to burn all mining equipment being used for illegal mining or mining that pollutes the environment. He says the justification that persons believed to engaged in such acts don't have rights, hence their equipment can be burnt, is nonsense.
That is a nonsense. That is a nonsense, because you don't fight illegality with illegality. I mean, a government particularly has to show respect for the law. You don't presume people guilty before you've gone through any process. So you go to an area and you have determined that they are doing galamsey and that those excavators were for galamsey. I mean, what process is that? What kind of legal process is that? And then you just burn them. There's no provision in any law of this country that allows a government. And for me, it is very depressing when an attorney general is the one defending brazen illegality. It's depressing, because it does not accord with anything that I have learned as a student of law. It does not accord with anything that I've taught as a teacher of law. It beats my understanding. And somebody should explain to me, and maybe one of these days I need to sit with the Attorney General and ask him just to clarify exactly how he thinks that the burning of excavators, just, without any notice to the people, without any process that determines that burning them is a legally appropriate sanction.
Away from that story, the minority in Parliament is accusing government of opportunism over its use of middlemen to procure the COVID-19 vaccines from Russia, and has filed a motion seeking a parliamentary probe into the matter. The minority is also demanding a bipartisan parliamentary probe into the Frontier Healthcare Services deal for COVID-19 testing at the Kotoka International Airport. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has been addressing the media.
We are more incensed by the terms of these multiple illegal agreements, which currently is worrying for our purposes, as we are shortchanged as Ghanaians by our government agreeing to $19 to $26 per jab of Sputnik V instead of the $10 that other countries and multilateral agencies like the AU have pitches. $, when other countries have paid less, and at least market price should be in the region of $10 US. And even the quantities, you would have to match it. When he says, for one of it, it is not as if it's the first AstraZeneca where you need a double jab. So even the mathematics of it is also revealing, and we want you to help us probe further into this. We are of the view that the Sputnik contract signed between the Ministry of Health for and on behalf of the government of Ghana and the third party is not in the interest, and therefore we are calling for a halt and a probe. We have accordingly filed a parliamentary motion to demand a bipartisan investigation and inquiry into the matter, and the report will advise us accordingly what course of action we should take.
Now, we will be speaking to the chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament, Dr. Nana Ayew-Efrie, later in the bulletin. But in the meantime, let's take you to the Ashanti region because a 2-year-old toddler named Mohammed Awal has died after he was swept away by floodwaters in Wednesday night's downpour in Kumasi. His body was retrieved on Thursday morning by a team of rescue officers. Nana Ojima has that story.
A search party from the Askwari Municipal Assembly, together with family of the toddler, found the child's lifeless body few meters from the scene of the incident. In his first year of assuming office as city mayor, Osei Esibe Entry earmarked a demolition of about 400 structures built on waterway, but the private developer, according to residents, has filled up the waterways and demarcated them for sale. Former Ashanti Regional Minister Samuel Sapon, whose home was affected by the floods, says attempts to stop the development have yielded no results.
I have approached them on several occasions. Apart from that, I have officially reported this to the Metropolitan Assembly, but no action has been taken.
Mr. Sapon explains his administration commenced a demolition exercise which should have continued.
We realized that people have actually built on the banks of the river, and that was the reason why it overflowed its banks. We arranged excavators and bulldozers. We went there and they demolished almost every building around that place. But now, just go there and then see.
Areas such as Daban, Patase and Atasomaso in the Nshezo constituency were submerged. Traders at the Atasomaso market, one of the affected areas, spoke to Joy News.
Everything I sell was destroyed by the flood. We will plead with city authorities to find solution to this.
Let's go back to the earlier story where the minority in parliament is demanding a parliamentary probe into what went into the procurement of vaccines. Dr. Nana Ayew-Efrie has joined us. Dr. Efrie, thanks very much for your time. First and foremost, the minority is saying that we should not have used middlemen. It smacks of corruption. Your response?
Well, I don't still see the problem to do with the minority. I mean, the ministry explained that as far as the market is concerned, the RDIF allows for middlemen to play a role in it. And we've also done our checks, of which made a lot of the contact and sources that confirmed that not only for Ghana, distribution to Argentina, they use a middleman. It's a global practice. And it's been 2 weeks now, and I'm worried that they have all it takes to invite the ministry to bring appropriate documents, to confirm or to deny. And they keep on alleging, and that's my worry. My worry is they seem to be undermine the authority of the speaker. And they actually brought the speaker to parliament for us to elect. And I don't know why they don't have confidence in the speaker, because the speaker is the one that you can file questions to, you can file statements to, you can file motions to. He accepts everything. And they have decided 2 weeks now not to tell this legitimate means to which they can have every documentation to be available to them. And it is always a case of allegations, and we keep talking about this because they make news out of it. And sometimes I get to wonder, are we finding a solution? Or we actually be belaboring issues? What is the objective? I get worried because you see, 2 weeks ago, they said they can have persons who can bring vaccines at $10 and it's $10 or less than $10. Now, on the proof interview with the presidential advisor on COVID, he challenged them that if you have any person who can do that, even transaction advisor, even any businessman for that matter, let's be able to get them. They would support them to get the vaccines for us. If we are in a crisis situation, do we want solution? Or we just want to give a dog a bad name and just hang the dog? I'm confused. I mean, sometimes I get to wonder that what is the objective of attacking an institution who seeks to get vaccine for the poor person to enjoy immunization. It was just like myself and the minority members have been vaccinated they have been vaccinated and their family members have been vaccinated at the expense of the taxpayer. Now, you seem to get vaccine to be able to immunize the ordinary taxpayer, and then we are attacking and crisis, even when we don't have it. So what is the issue? I mean, I don't get it.
Now, I know you've addressed the case, Dr. Friye, of the cost and what the presidential advisor said, but there was an investigation by the Norwegian newspaper VG, and they did put out the figures which were displayed online.
I believe in the journalists over here. The Norwegian and what is anybody who sets an agenda has a reason. I mean, I have no beef with the Norwegian. Please, I always discount that issue. I want to respect the Joy FM I always listen to and the sharp journalists they have. Can we look at the issues and then analyze it as such?
My question is, what was the action of government on the back of that? When this was an issue with Rosewood in the Land and Natural Resources Ministry, the ministry at the time set up a committee to investigate it. When the issue of Ameri came up, investigated by the same Norwegian newspaper, the minority at the time called for an investigation into the matter and indeed continued that when you came into government in 2017. What's different now, Dr. Friye?
I restrict myself to the press conference by the minority. They are calling for a parliamentary inquiry. Is that the case?
Yes, they are calling for a parliamentary inquiry, but I was simply posing a question because you raised a probe interview.
They asked for by partisan position on the issue. You know what it means? They want to know pure and clear that the questions in their head are answered. My question is that would they have to run to the media to ask for a bipartisan inquiry when the speaker in the House was proposed by them, and then at the end of the day, he is the one who accepts proposals for inquiries, questions, statements, motions, and they have 2 weeks now. They are belaboring one issue in the media, and they have not sought to do what exactly you want to hear. What you want to hear is investigation. I'm a parliamentarian. I speak as an MP. We have authority on our committee by virtue of the Constitution, the support of what they give it to in our country, to even conduct investigation with all the powers of the High Court.
Right. So you're chair of the committee, Dr. Friye. Would you support such a call to investigate the matter?
I support it, just like your sister stations interviewed me. I said, I welcome the call for inquiry. Seriously, you know, I've been championing in opposition, I've been championing Abad, and I was happy. That is my story. In any case, if they call for inquiry, it supports the position of Article 35A. States would have to take initiative against abuse of office. The legislative arm is a part of the state. And so what they are doing is the constitutional right. But what I'm saying is that might they go to the gallery, might they go to the media to ask for this, when you can just do it in parliament. If we had used the past rule, by now the press will have documents, because the parliament has the power to ask for every document. Then we all can interrogate it, other than just interrogating issues on their face.
Right. Dr. Friye, would you consider calling their bluff and inviting the minister at your own instance to settle the matter and set the record?
Issue. As a health economist, I sit in a space. And if you, even not me, even as a health economist, if you are a minister and you sit in a space, there is crisis, no vaccine. You want to get vaccine. A middleman comes and says, it costs A, it costs B, it costs C. You don't even have it. At the end of the day, are you going to sit and say, although we have a budget for it, because of your price in the midst of the crisis.
Right.
I will not even attempt to buy in 2 doses, just in case the prices will drop. Then on that occasion, I can also gain. Will you just sit down and just hold your arms and just look at governance? It doesn't work like this.
But you see, Doc, it's on this matter that I was saying that in the past, when allegations were raised by similar in the same organization in other fields, an investigation was done. In one case, actually, officials were flown by government.
I'm also supporting the call for. I've not gone against it. That said, I support inquiry. In fact, I like the parliamentary bit where you have both parties involved, and that one will put the issues right away. You get the issues at stake. You will then interrogate, and then you have a position. I like the parliamentary inquiry bit, given the circumstances that you don't want to trust government. That is fine. I like the parliamentary inquiry bit. And why are you taking them 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, they are going to the media. Why don't they, in the past 2 weeks, why shouldn't they have done the right thing? Me, I think, frankly, my brother, I think the issue. Actually, basically, Ghanaians have not spent any money. No vaccines have been delivered to the other quantities. We are all sitting there. I think they understand the authority of the speaker, 1, and 2. The minority is refusing to prefer solution. You sit and talk, and you should prefer solution. So now in crisis, you are talking. Can they prefer solutions that they have businessmen who can help get Ghana, procure them at about $11, if not even 10?
Right.
Can they just prefer solutions? Can they meet? I'm the chairman of the committee. Can they just give me somebody I can hold the hand? So lobby is part of parliamentary practice, right? So can they just give me somebody that can go and lobby for that businessman? So the issue would just be clear that somebody was original. In the absence of an alternative, I can't reason any further. I'm just at you what the ministry is doing. And I would encourage them to get a vaccine. If we get vaccine and then hope that we have vaccine, and then we would have to then interrogate the issue. I will not get my house burning. And I'm thinking about how much the fire service or the people around are trying to spend to quench the fire. So think about what effort they will put in to quench the fire, after which we interrogate the cost. So in the absence of an alternative, I am confused what they seek to achieve.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nana Urife, for joining us. He's chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. Let's go back to the Kumasi floods because another person has been found dead in the Kumasi floods. Joy News' Ohiming Teria joins us with more via telephone. Now, Ohiming, what more do we know about this person? Ohiming, can you hear me? Right, Ohiming Teria is in Kumasi. He is with Love and Inshira FM. We're going to try the phone lines one more time. Ohiming Teria, can you hear me?
Yes, Daniel, I can hear you.
What's this we are hearing about another person being found dead?
Yes, this is 53-year-old mother of 3. She has been confirmed dead in the flood waters at Anloga Susenchi in the Oforokro municipality. The body of the late Akosua Dufie, a trader in second-hand clothing, was retrieved this morning by a search party about 500 meters from the scene in the Susain Extreme. She was actually returning home from the market on Thursday evening when the flood swept her and others away following the collapse of a footbridge they were using. Before the incident, a gentleman was heard in the video sounding caution to the residents who were using that particular footbridge at that time, but the disease and some others defied those advice and then went ahead to use the footbridge. Whilst using the footbridge midstream, it got broken and they were swept away by the waters. But one person was rescued, except this particular woman who was just a few minutes away from her home when she was swept away by the flood waters. Her body was retrieved this morning and has since been deposited at the Kumasi Teaching Hospital, awaiting autopsy. I must say the death of the woman has sparked some sort of anger among residents of Anloga and Susenchi. They believe that it is high time a government come to the rescue. The fourth bridge has been constructed for the 5th time by the assemblyman for the area, Solomon Kusi, through his own intervention. And they believe that, yes, the government has awarded contract to a contractor to work on that bridge. But the contractor has been complaining of lack of funds. Funds have not been released to the contractor, making it impossible for the contract work to be executed. So they say, if government relies on doing this, led by the assemblyman, they will walk to the municipal assembly in 2 weeks' time to demand what they say is due them.
Victoria, thank you very much for bringing us that detailed update from Kumasi. We stay there because the new KJTR market has also been taken over by floodwaters, and the traders are having to scoop out water from their stalls. Nanaya Ojima again with more. Those were videos from the Kumasi Central, KJTR Central Market, the newly constructed market. We'll get that update from Nane Aljima a bit later. But in the meantime, Regional NADMO Director Mr. Kwabena Nsentwe has been telling Joy News about how his outfit is addressing the challenge.
Not the first time this thing has been happening. In fact, Honorable Samuel Sapon's place was flooded 3 days ago. And yesterday to around 4 p.m., we had another heavy downpour. That was twice as much as what happened 3 days ago. You see, and we only have a message for them that they should leave and go and find a safe haven. Because if you listen to the weather forecasters, they are predicting very much rainfall this season. So we have been, advising a lot of people out there. We all know that KJTR is a flood-prone area. And even at the zoo and the racecourse, all those places, it's a flood-prone area. We all know. Honorable Samuel Sapon's time as a mayor is aware. And Honorable, after him, there comes Kojobosu. I was an assembly member. I've been in as an assembly member for almost 19 to 20 years now. I'm no more an assembly member. You know, the money that we acquire to build, the market was meant for central market. The project was meant for central market.
Okay.
But it was, obvious that the money was changed because, everybody knows, every assembly member knows that, or even, the money was meant for redevelopment of Kumasi Central Market.
You're so live on Joy News today, and our hearts go out once again to the families of those who have passed as a result of these floods. We'll now take a quick breather. When we come back, we have the latest in business.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System has announced its readiness to support government roll out little or no cash for all services and transactions in the country. According to Gibbs, it now has the necessary infrastructure in place to aid this move, which will be comparable to any developed economy. Chief Executive Archie Hesse has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
The range of payment systems that I've described, there are very, very few countries who, with all these services and their Cash-lite agenda, is far more advanced.
It appears you're not talking about them.
I'm sorry?
You're not making noise about all this infrastructure that is in place. Because
it's not a question of noise, it's a question of
letting the public appreciate. Sorry.
Precisely. So what you realize that we're going to start embarking on a lot more. It's education awareness, and working with various stakeholders so that they can experience it first time, and that takes time. But that's the journey that we've started.
So you're ready if I'm the president and I ask you, Mr. Hesse, are you ready for me? Can I issue a fiat that from maybe the third quarter or from maybe January next year we are going a total Cash-lite? Are you ready for me?
I think we are. From so far as the center is concerned, the GIPS systems are concerned, yes, we are. Of course, the various government bodies as well will need to ensure that they also have systems that are connected to ours to be made available to their customers. But so far as system reliability and availability from our end is concerned, yes, we are ready.
To the layman, help me out when you talk about having the right systems in place. I mean, so if today I'm in Tumu, there is no internet, I still want to carry out a transaction, is there a platform that I can use to do that, the real time and all those things? Help me out, just for the lay person on the street.
Okay, if you happen to be in Tumu, what kind of transaction do you want to perform? You want to send money to a friend? Where is your money? Is it in your bank account or is it in your mobile money wallet?
Bank account, mobile money?
Well, if it's in the bank accounts, and most banks, they have either a mobile app that is connected to your bank account and you can effect the payment. In the absence of, you spoke about internet challenges, you can then use a USSD version of it. Most banks have their USSD, and you can also use that as an alternative. And you can transfer funds from your bank account to another bank account. But in terms of internet connectivity, I think the coverage is now very good. We're nationwide.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News Today. Now, organizers of the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards say they have introduced 3 more categories to the scheme this year. In an interview with Joy Prime's Ibrahim Bembako, Mrs. Theresa Ayowade explains why there's a need for this move.
Best African collaboration. Yes, I think that's a new category. And I think there's also Afrobeats Afrobeats Artist of the Year. Yeah, and then we also reintroduced the music for development. Yeah, so it's called, I think it's coming back as Music for Good. Yes, so those are new categories, of course. And of course, the Industry Titan Awards honors that we've just presented today at this summit. This is just to capture the other players in the industry, in the ecosystem, who may not be captured on the night of the event. So that's also new additions for the events.
Let's stay on music and talk about musician Miss Bell, who says she believes in giving back to society and helping young talents, hence the setup of her record label, Bell Jams Record.
The main focus will be on the record label because hopefully, if nobody comes to piss me off or disappoint me, or this boy right here doesn't do anything to boo my bim, then I may sign another artist in addition to him. But so far so good. The record label is young and we haven't done much promo for it, but we've been nominated for 2 awards and I am grateful. So yes, the more focus now is on Hartman, because once I release a new single or a new album, I don't think I'll have time for him. So it's all about him now. Even now, Crampo, I still don't have time to project him the way I expect because, you know, people came and messed up the way. You see, made the water muddy. So I find it so hard to have 100% trust and confidence in investing fully in him. But we are doing this small and so far so good.
But what necessitated, you setting up a record label?
I'm an artist, I'm a musician, and I feel like at this point in my life, I need to help others. And I've been doing it since, but never made it official. So people take advantage and people take me for granted. It ends up bad. So he's the first official artist that we've signed on the record label. But I set up the record label just to help artists, not necessarily to make money, but to help upcoming artists. Yeah.
On that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today. Over to you, Daniel.
Thanks, Becky. And on that note, we end this bulletin of Joy News Today. Up next is the marketplace. But be sure to log on to myjoyonline.com for the latest in news, both local and international. See you on Monday. Have a great weekend.